Because I have nothing to do in my personal life, I was looking at some reviews 2023 of the Detroit Lions draft. There were a lot of Fs on there. The strategy got an F, where they had David Montgomery. They bring in Jahmyr Gibbs, the 12th pick overall. They got Sam Laporta out of Iowa. They got Campbell out of Iowa as well, linebacker. And you saw a lot of bad grades for Detroit. And now, moving forward, they knew what they were doing. He's Ian Rapoport, NFL Network Insider. You can see him tonight on the Insiders. That's at 7 Eastern on NFL Network. Good to talk to you again, Ian. Give me the surprise coaching move, whether it was keeping a coach or firing a coach.
Well, I would say, I don't know what it's a surprise now, because basically what happens is every different possible outcome gets sort of rumored, right? So it's like people say, can you believe that? It's like the Titans just fired Rand Carthon, the general manager, after 2 seasons, after giving him an extension last year. It's like, is that a surprise? Like, I don't know that anything's a surprise, that there have been some rumors always, but to me, the one that I was most unsure about was probably the Giants. Now, to me, not that my opinion matters at all, but I felt like if the Giants could just take a deep breath and stick with people who they know are good, who took them to the playoffs, they know Brian Daboll is a good coach, didn't forget how to be a good coach. I think the Daniel Jones quarterback plummet probably hurt them a little bit over the last couple of years. If they could just take a deep breath and stick there, I think they will benefit. People so often choose change when there's an option. People want you to do something, just something. And so I was sort of pleasantly surprised, I would say, that they decided to do nothing and stick with the guys they have.
Of the openings now, in your opinion, the most attractive job is where?
It's all about the quarterback, and it's all about how quickly you can get in there and win. I mean, that's to me. So it's like, I think the Bears is really, really attractive. If you think Caleb Williams is good, and I think everyone thinks he's, it's not like he was taken number one and people like the Bears were crazy. Many, many people would have taken him number one. So to me, I think that's a really, really attractive job. Some of the others might take a little bit of time, but that roster is pretty good. Offensive line needs work, but I think all around, if Caleb Williams can throw on time and take care of the ball like he certainly did this year, I think that's one where you could sort of flip it pretty quickly. The other one I like is the Jaguars. Is Trevor Lawrence going to be Patrick Mahomes? Like, I don't know. At this point, maybe not. Probably not. Very good, viable quarterback, locked in for a long time. A lot of weapons, a lot of good young players tied into contracts that have already started. That's another place where it's like, I think you could hop in there and win fairly quickly in a division that has not always been at the top tier.
What are the Cowboys doing now?
They're dancing. The Cowboys are dancing. They're different, man. And we know the Cowboy animal, but situations like this really show us how different. Jerry Jones does not like dead money. And it feels like would rather have this uncertainty for 8 days or 9 days or however long it lasts, rather than deal with the dead money of, let's say, extending Mike McCarthy and then deciding, all right, we do not want him here. So the sense I get is that they want him back. The sense I get is that he would like to be back under the right circumstances. You have other teams, we're going to have interest. The Bears have put in a request. I would expect the Saints to have interest as well. It's just, can they get together and figure out something that works for both of them? And for me, a lot of the biggest questions are like, what about the term of the contract? Like, if you're the Cowboys, maybe you say, oh, well, let's do a 2-year deal. Cool. If we want to get out next year, we can just fire him with, limited money. If you're McCarthy, like, why would you do that? Just go somewhere else and get a 5-year deal. So I think that's some of the issues they need to work out.
Do the Lions lose both coordinators?
Pretty good chance. Yeah. I mean, Ben Johnson's a little bit of a different deal because he's been in demand for a couple years. I don't know that he would have gotten the Commander's job last year, but at least he would have been one of the final guys they were discussing, right? That whole situation was kind of weird. But he's in demand enough where I think he's going to have a chance to get a job. And then to me, I mean, Aaron Glenn, like, we all saw what the Lions defensive coordinator did on Sunday. That was a That was mean. He made things very, very rough for the Vikings. I have not seen that Sam Darnold in a couple years, but that's not why I think Aaron Glenn's going to get a job. It's really about like culture and leadership. And to me, he's the guy who's sort of like most an extension of Dan Campbell on the staff. Like I think he's got a really good shot to get one of these jobs as well.
Talking to Ian Rapoport, NFL Network Insider. I've said this for many, many years, Ian. Not every coordinator deserves to be a head coach. That because of what goes along, like, Gerard Mayo, I don't think he was equipped to go to those press conferences. I think he was trying to be the antithesis of Belichick, and he didn't handle it well. Now, it doesn't mean he can't learn how to do it, but we've seen a lot of the Patriot coordinators, Romeo Crennel and Charlie Weiss, and they're coordinators. But it's tough to say that to somebody when somebody says, why doesn't that guy get a shot? Well, you got to be Pete Carroll at a press conference now. Like, you got to be able to handle these things. And you're a CEO. How do you can you differentiate between somebody who's just a great coordinator and not a head coach?
So specifically to the press conferences, I don't care that much about like Gerard Mayo kind of like stepping on his foot or whatever at a press conference. I don't care that much. But just because like if you're not great at the media, like most people, when Gerard Mayo was coming up as a player, he did plenty of interviews. As a coordinator, he was a position coach for a lot of it. He didn't do a ton of interviews. Most of these guys have not. So like you'll see, like I remember Nick Sirianni, who has proven to be a very good head coach, was a disaster his first press conference. You and I sort of take it for granted. It's very, very hard. I don't care so much about that. What I care about is a lot of times that press conference face or persona or whatever is what you put in front of the team. That's more important to me because, like, when it's like mess up in front of the media, okay, who cares? But if you mess up in front of the team, they're going to wonder if you're really authentic. Are you acting? Are you trying to be? And I think that's where a lot of the Patriots coordinators under Belichick have run into problems because they were trying to be something, whether it's him, whether it's I'm definitely not going to be him. It's like players can tell when you're not just a leader, right? And so, like, talk about coordinators being ready. Like, Dan Campbell wasn't a coordinator. He was just the best leader that the Saints had. So it's like sometimes coaches, it's like I really don't think that the best play calling head coach, the best play calling coordinator means you're going to be a great head coach. It's like find the best leader, but that guy in front of the big room, not the small room, but the big room, and let him go.
Yeah, because you got to create a culture. I think that, like, I don't know what Ben Johnson's personality is, but is he going to be able to lead? Dan Campbell came in and we were like, oh, who is this guy? And then all of a sudden we realized that guy is that guy, and those players bought into that. And really, that's the important part. The Cowboys, they bought into Jimmy Johnson. Like, you have to buy into that. We may see somebody and go, that guy's corny, or, that guy's quiet, but you'll know when the feedback you get comes from your players. That's the only feedback you really need.
Well, yeah. And like for me, like I've been doing this for 13 years now, and I get to know a lot of these coordinator candidates, a lot of the young coaches, and it's really been educational for me as I talk about it and as I talk to GMs and owners and whoever, whether publicly or privately about some of these candidates, because it's like what makes a good head coach or what makes a good coordinator is almost has nothing to do with each other. Like if you do the Venn diagram thing, they may not connect. Like I remember so specifically, I hate to even say this now, but kind of rolling my eyes at the Lions' excitement over Dan Campbell because I'm like, what are they seeing that I am not seeing? He's never been a coordinator. Like, yes, he gave the speeches and the Saints and the play, but like he's not even a coordinator. And now, as I've learned, it's like, who cares? Like, find the best leader. And it's like, you talked about. I was laughing as you were doing the open, talking about how bad the Lions drafts were. It's like, what is Brad Holmes doing? Don't they care about, positional value? It's like, find good football players, have them play on your team, have a lot of good football players, and you'll have a better team. It's like same thing with coaches. Find good leaders, let them lead, and then everything else will sort of be fine.
Finish this sentence. If the Steelers get blown out against the Ravens.
I will be surprised. if the Steelers get blown out against the Ravens, you're talking specifically about Mike Tomlin. I don't think anything happens to Mike Tomlin. But I would say if the Steelers get blown out by the Ravens, then I will say they take another look at the quarterback position and try to figure that out for next year.
Yeah.
I have believed that their starting quarterback for next year is on their roster. My sense is that it was Russell Wilson. It has been very rough the last month. Very rough. So maybe it's not. But I think we're about to find out.
Let's flip it. If the Ravens lose.
Yeah, I mean, this is about as talented a Ravens team as we could have. I would be surprised if anything happens to Harbaugh, if that's what you mean. I mean, he is
No, I
very
think
good.
it's probably perception with Lamar. Like, this is the ultimate kiss of death with him, whether it's fair or not. But here we are, home field advantage. Had home field advantage last year.
No, I get it.
It's there.
I get, and last year was probably like, I would like to see the Ravens in the Super Bowl. It would be very fun, and they're such a good team, and I feel like they, deserve to. So last year was frustrating because it's like I don't know what else they have to do, and then they got Derrick Henry. They sort of formed their identity even more. I think they're, good enough on defense. I mean, this looks like a team that should go deep into the playoffs and reach a Super Bowl. But again, like, I don't think it's so freaking hard to get there. It's so hard. And like, you could say whatever you want about Lamar or Josh Allen, same thing. It's like, I get it, but you got to beat Mahomes. So it's like, sometimes Mahomes is going to beat you. He's very good.
Yeah, it's like Jordan, It's the Jordan era that there's no shame in not winning a championship there.
Look, Mahomes is a good pitcher. Like, I've seen the clips of him throwing. Like, if he wants to go play baseball, he's still got a great arm. If he wants to go play baseball, then I think that really opens things up in the AFC.
I think he'd be maybe a better baseball player than Jordan.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan was not very good, but on the other hand, like, you drop someone into, was Birmingham Double A, right?
Double A.
Drop someone into Double A, like, he hit 200. That's pretty good.
Yeah, he did all right.
I wouldn't hit 200.
Yeah, but you're not You're not 100. One of the greatest athlete, in the world.
It's offensive.
I don't even know if you're the best athletic insider.
Wow, that's really offensive. I was a high school baseball player. I was pretty good.
Are you more athletic than Adam Schefter?
I think skill-wise, just pure athleticism, like, I think I have a better arm. I think if you having a catch, I think I would probably
Let's do better. The combine.
If we were in a
combine.
He might beat me in a race, and I think he is. I'm pretty sure he lifts. I think strength-wise, he would probably get me. But hitting a baseball, throwing, talk about like golf, I feel like I probably got him. Just so it'd be really depending on the events.
What if Glazer was in the octagon with you?
Well, if we're talking octagon, me and Schefter have no chance. But you want to talk like golf, baseball, tennis.
Okay.
I did go to a Nick Bollettieri week of tennis camp when I was 11.
Okay.
12, actually. 12. So, just saying.
My bad. I did not know that. Fritzy, will you check his resume next time?
Yeah, that's impressive.
There's stuff here
that's
that
some
I
good
don't
stuff
even
in
realize that. Unbelievable.
I was a college athlete. I was a rower, but still.
Were you a rower or were you crew?
No, I was a rower, as a lightweight rower at Columbia. I was very bad, but my team was very good. So there you go.
You weren't the one who is yelling like the
no, I was actually doing the work. No,
okay.
No. I mean, not that coxswains don't do the work; they work very hard, but more mental work than anything else.
All right. He's one of the great athletic insiders in the business. He's Ian Rapoport. Thank you, Ian.
Thank you.
NFL Network, the Insiders tonight.
That's really offensive.
I know. I didn't even bring up Tom Pelissero yet.
Yeah. Oh, come on.
Yeah.